You know what they say, knowledge is power. Let's learn about Boston. That's on a need-to-know basis, and you know what? You need to know. Hi everyone, my name is Matt Swierk and I'm a local real estate expert right here in Massachusetts with the Legacy Star team powered by Keller Williams Realty. Now, if this is the first time you've come to our YouTube channel and you're interested to learn what it's like to eat, sleep, drink, play, and more importantly, the 10 things you need to know about living in Boston, then you definitely want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that little bell so that every time we make a new video, you're going to get notified. Now, we have a lot of fun making these videos. We're getting requests. We're providing information. A lot of people have questions. We have answers. And all you really have to do is just reach out to us via text, phone call, email. As always, when it comes to Massachusetts, we've got your back. All right, we're talking today about the 10 things you need to know as far as living in Boston. And I'm going to have fun with this one today. What really, as far as number one, I think they changed their slogan because I think the rest of the world is starting to catch up to us, or the rest of the country. But really, when it comes to coffee, there's Starbucks, there's a lot of other companies out there. But as far as Boston runs on Dunkin Donuts, right? They changed their slogan to America runs on Dunks. I'm old school, I say Dunkin Donuts. They changed their Dunks now. I think now they have like some weird little logo that doesn't even say it. So it's definitely, there's one on every corner you can possibly find. It's amazing how they all stay in business, but it's definitely people have to get their Dunkin' fixes all the time, and if you don't, it's not something that's extraordinary. However, it's a kind of start off as a little donut shop, and they have awesome food. I mean, pumpkin muffins. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, thinking about all the things, so I'll pull back and hold on that. But when you come living here in Boston, absolutely Dunkin' Donuts all the way. All right. Another thing I think is really fun as far as being in Boston is we have Fluff. Now, I'm not talking Fluff as far as, over exaggerating things. I'm talking Fluff as far as the marshmallow goo. And it's actually produced right over here in the city right next to Boston. And, it's absolutely delicious. Our claim to fame is the Fluffernutter. So absolutely get a piece of white bread. One side of it, you're putting peanut butter. The other side, you're putting this gooey marshmallow substance on the other piece of bread. You put that into a sandwich. If you're daring, drop it in the microwave for a couple seconds. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely delicious. So you can have a Fluffernutter, and then someone went off the deep end and had this like Fluffer Nutella thing. So it was Fluff with Nutella. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, no offense to the chocolate hazelnut spread, but just not the way to go. So we've been talking a little bit of food, and the number 3 thing, and I'm chuckling on the inside because every time we make videos, for some reason, we have to talk fried clams and lobster rolls, and absolutely we're shining a spotlight on that today. We have some of the freshest seafood that you can imagine. There's a lot of the fish and the lobsters and everything that's really caught that day, and you can be eating it that night. And there's a lot of great fish markets, and it's really a major staple around here, especially some of your basic fishes like your haddock and your cod. I think I told a story about years ago when I relocated out to, where did I move to? I moved out to Seattle, and I sat down and I ordered fish and chips, right? And then all of a sudden I cut into it, and it's like this pink thing, and I'm, what is this? So I asked the waitress to come over, and she says, is there a problem? And I said, yeah. I said, I ordered fish and chips. And she said, okay, that's what you have. And I said, well, this looks like it's salmon. And she said, yeah, of course it's salmon. And I said, that's not fish and chips. So of course she picked up on my accent right away, and she said, what do you guys eat over there? And I said, absolutely, it's haddock, it's cod, it's scrod. Scrod stands for scrap on deck. Anyway, I don't want to pick on the scrod fish. So we absolutely have some of the best seafood that you can possibly imagine. So when you're living here in the city, you hopefully eat that all day long, and we get some great sushi around here too. Another thing I want to mention is Chowder, right? So there was a movie, there was something, they said, he ordered chowder and they said, do you want the red or the white? And I was sitting there scratching my head and I said, red chowder? What's red chowder? There's no such thing as red chowder. No Manhattan clam chowder. There's no tomatoes in chowder, right? New England clam chowder absolutely is a cream-based. Oh my goodness, absolutely delicious. There's so much chowder all over here. You have the Boston Chowder Company. If you go down to Faneuil Hall has this awesome row of all these different, I don't want to call them kiosks, but all these different little shops that have all different types of food. And it's really interesting because you can get Indian food and Asian food and Italian food and lots of seafood. And it really, what's hilarious is this shop has clam chowder, this shop has clam chowder, this shop has clam chowder. Everybody's got clam chowder, and everyone's going to put a spin on it. I'll give you a word of advice. If someone serves you clam chowder with corn in it, throw it away. It's corn chowder. There's no mix of corn in the clam chowder. Bacon? Sure, throw some bacon in there, but no corn. We don't really like New York. What? All right. There's a huge rivalry here with New York, right? It's all the sports. There's everything about the cities, we really, it's one of those things, right? Like New York it's huge, it's massive, it's absolutely a great city, not as great as Boston, of course. Of course I'm teasing, but it's really, people really, dive into that rivalry, talking about, it's interesting because our city, it's pretty small. It's like this big compared to New York. I get really uncomfortable going on down to New York because people actually want to cross in the crosswalk, and if you pull into that, they get really mad, and they're like, going to give you some of their fingers up at you and say some things. And I had a person nicely tap on the hood of my car when I was in New York. But there's just this feel of New York versus Boston, all the sports, all the rivalries, whether it's the Giants, the Jets, the Rangers, the Islanders, of course the Yankees. Basketball, I'm not really big into that, but what's really funny is that if it doesn't matter where you're going, you could go to a Bruins game, that's the hockey team, right? You can go to a Celtics game, you could go to a Revolution game, that's soccer. You could just be at some type of a gathering, and out of the blue, the crowd will start chanting this Yankees bleep. I'm not going to say it because I want to keep this PG for the family. But it's really interesting how you, out of nowhere, you just hear people start chanting like Yankees, Yankees, and I'm sure, they don't like us either there. So it's really, that's something you have to understand when you come here and you live in Boston. Like you got to absorb the rivalry, right? So, we're talking sports a little bit. We are absolutely 100%, we are addicted to our sports, right? It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. Like I just said, I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but I'm a huge Celtics fan, right? Just because that's my Boston team. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but oh man, go Sox. Like I love them Red Sox, right? So we fully embrace all of the sports. Of course we think all our sports teams should win everything all the time. We're spoiled. We've had some great organizations and some great leadership that, we've been fortunate enough to be able to get into the playoffs, and we are spoiled. And I think I told a story before. I had someone, I was born in the era where we had kind of the smaller Sullivan Stadium, and then they built this giant, massive Gillette Stadium. And I was like, wow, we actually have a real football stadium. And so, growing up, it wasn't until '86 when the New England Patriots actually made it to the Super Bowl, right? And so that was the first almost we were successful. And then luckily, things kind of changed, and we had broken the curse with the Red Sox. The Bruins, broke out after a huge drought. The Celtics had been successful in the '80s. So, we've had some really good success here. My whole point of telling this is that it's funny because some of the younger kids that have only seen successes of the teams, when the team started to lose a little bit, they're just shocked. What happens? We're not in the playoffs. We're not winning another championship. We love our sports here. The other thing that's really funny here in Boston is that people fight over a Beanpot. And I'm not talking a pot that you put beans in, right? And please don't call us Beantown. No, none of us call it Beantown. That's a rumor. But there's this really cool event that happens where there's 4 colleges that compete for this Beanpot trophy. And it's from it's Boston University, Boston College, Harvard University, and then Northeastern. And this is this awesome event. It's kind of they shift it back and forth, but the 2 teams play at one time. Then afterwards, the other 2 teams play. The 2 winners play, and then the championship wins. And that's it's a huge thing. Like Boston's a big college town, so it's really fun as far as the Beanpot. I had so many great memories as a kid growing up, going to those games. My mother used to get mad because the next morning I'd wake up and I didn't want to go to school. My dad would say, "Oh, don't make him go to school. He was up late." So you'll find out that people get into fights over the Beanpot. All right, now we talked before about being some of the worst drivers in the country, which is not true at all. However, living in Boston, you have to understand it's every person for themselves, right? It is road warrior. My attitude is I have insurance, so if you smash into me or I smash into you, it is what it is. We pay our deductible, we just move on, right? It's not bumper cars by any means. However, we're pretty aggressive and we're gonna move quick. And more importantly, if you do get on the highway, please get out of the right lane. I'm sorry, get out of the left lane, right? Because really the left lane, the police want us to use that as a passing lane and we should stay in the middle. However, most people driving that, that's the fast lane, get out of the way, we're going. So you have to make sure that when you're living in Boston, you got to be prepared, right? Get your armor on, make sure you don't have a brand new Mercedes, because if it gets dinged and scratched, too bad. Nah, I'm just kidding. Hopefully by now I tell a lot of jokes, especially bad dad jokes. All right, now the other thing I wanted to talk about is completely off that, kind of the driving thing and some of the food is that we have different bowling. Right? When you go bowling in Boston, especially here in Boston, there's a lot of what's called candlepin. Now, most people are familiar with 10-pin bowling. 10-pin is those giant balls, right, with the giant pins. Well, we have these little sticks, right? We have those, they're called candlesticks, and then we have smaller balls, right? There's a lot more skill involved with this. It's much harder to get a strike when you're playing candlepin versus those giant balls you just slide down the aisle. So, if you're going to go bowling in the city, definitely be prepared for candlepin bowling and be careful, because you can literally, those big balls when you throw them, they're going to slide and they might go this way, but you can huck one of those things and it could do some damage. So be prepared for a different type of a bowling experience. All right, second to last one I want to talk about is beware the green line. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm referring to one of the lines off of our train system. That's another thing is, we don't have the subway, we don't have the train. The organization is called the MBTA, however, we just call it the T. And the T has multiple lines that run throughout the city and going through, kind of not the whole state, but just more the metropolitan areas, kind of north-south. We do have a line, some commuter rails that goes out towards north-central Mass. However, the green line is the trolley line. Right? And the reason why I say beware the green line is this thing, it's kind of bumping around and you're taking turns, and it's almost there's multiple cars that are attached, and it's really interesting because it just seems like a piece of rubber. So as you go around a turn on the green line, it almost looks like the thing's going to break apart. And then as it's kind of shifting and it's bouncing, so, definitely if you have motion sickness, take some Dramamine before you get on there, because, it can be scary. All right, last thing I want to talk about, and this is a really, really fun thing for me, is St. Patrick's Day is one of our sacred holidays, right? Not because of what it is, but just another opportunity to go out there and have fun and just have a great experience. So we have what's called the South Boston is referred to as Southie by them locals. And over in Southie, they have the St. Patty's Day Parade, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, not to offend anyone. This thing has gotten bigger and bigger over the years. It can be an absolute madhouse when you go and trying to get anywhere, in South Boston when it comes to the parade. I mean, there is just seas and seas and seas of green and beads, and oh man, it's absolute chaos, right? And I should have said it used to be one of my favorite things, because now that I am a little, I'll say a little more established with a family, I'm not really going down and participating in a lot of those antics of St. Patrick's Day. However, it's definitely it's a fun place to be, and it's a great experience to get involved with. All right, so in my opinion, that's just 10 things you need to know as far as living in the city of Boston. Now, whether you're coming here to visit, whether you're looking to hit a rent, you're coming to buy a property, whatever it is, if you want information as far as whatever you need, I'm going to stop and start over again, because I don't know where I started going. All right, so in my opinion, that is 10 things you need to know as far as living in the city of Boston. Now, whether you're coming here to visit, whether you're looking to relocate, or spend some a shorter time here, we really, like I said, we want to provide information for you, and whatever questions you have, we're going to provide answers. Really simple. All you have to do is pick up the phone, give us a call. You can shoot us a text. You can shoot us an email. We'll get back to you. And as always, when it comes to Massachusetts, we've got your back. All right, Tyler, let's see what happens.